welcome to Legal Affairs. My name is Diamond Liddy, and I'm the public defender for the 19th Judicial Circuit. We have a wonderful, wonderful show today, and our wonderful guest is Kate Bradford, and what exactly is your title, Kate?
I'm an assistant professor, but basically I'm just a professor in the criminal justice department at Indian River State College.
Okay. And before we talk about some of the things that are going on in exciting news within the college and your program and stuff, let's get a little bit of background about you. How long have you been at IRSC, Kate?
I've been at IRSC for 5 years. This is my 5th year.
Okay, and prior to that?
Before I started teaching, I was a criminal defense attorney.
Okay.
I started out about 15 years ago at the Public Defender's Office in the 10th Judicial Circuit.
Right.
Under Marion Mormon.
Right.
And that was a great, amazing job and experience. And I did that for a few years. I was in private practice for a few years. I was at the Public Defender's Office in the 6th Circuit for a few years.
Which is what? St. Peter's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Pinellas County. And then we moved over here to the East Coast. And I thought, well, you know, I love education. I could go to college for the rest of my life and just continue to get degrees. So I thought, well, let me just send my resume in. You know, I thought this is maybe a chance for me to do something new and different, you know, with the move. So I ended up getting an adjunct position. So I taught.
And what exactly is an adjunct position?
So an adjunct position is a part-time position, basically. Adjunct instructors cannot teach more than 3 classes at a time.
Okay.
So, so at that time I was teaching 1 class, and I would go at night after I would do some legal work. I would go at night and teach this class.
So at that time you had your own practice.
I did.
Okay.
Yep, over here, and so I was.
And what
doing
did
some
you
things.
handle primarily at that time?
Well, over here I handled primarily dependency, which, as you know, is a very difficult area of the law.
Well, some of our viewers don't know what dependency cases are, so you fill us in.
So dependency is where the state has said that the parents of children are either abusing, neglecting, or abandoning those children.
Okay.
And so the state has to step in, and per my history, I was representing the parents in those cases.
Right.
So that was very difficult.
Very difficult.
Yes. And so that I think that experience really is what pushed me to start looking for something that wouldn't be quite so difficult in the day-to-day life in my working profession. So that's what prompted me. So I was an adjunct professor. I did that for maybe 2 semesters, and I remember I was parked in the parking lot of the jail, and I had to go in and see a couple of clients, and it was raining, and I was sitting in the car, and I just thought, this is so hard. This is so hard, just emotionally on me. And so I called, who is now my department chair, Professor Richard Dewey, and I called him and I said, hey, what do I have to do to come work for you one day? And I'm thinking he's going to say, well, you have to go and get a doctorate, and you have to, you know, be an adjunct for 5 years. And so I'm thinking, like, long term, what do I have to start doing now? And he said, well, send in your resume. So I sent my resume in, and then in that fall, I started as a full-time instructor. So I teach classes, and I, you know, I'm on committees and run clubs.
And I want to talk about the women lawyers division and all of that too. But let's back up a little bit. So you are a full-fledged attorney, correct?
I am. Yep. I still have my bar card. I still practice.
Right.
So I've kept all that intact. And you know, one of the things that I like to, you know, hold on to in the classroom is my experience in the courtroom.
Right.
And I really try to share that with students. So, you know, it's not just things that they're reading in a book. I like to tell them about cases that I've had or experiences that I've had. You know, what it's like, you know, in the real world.
Where did you go to school, Kate?
I went to undergrad in Ohio at Miami University. And I went to law school at Stetson over in St. Pete. Yep.
Okay. So you've got your Juris Doctorate, you're full-fledged lawyer. Now you're teaching, which I have to say, when we first met with some of the things that we're doing within the office and stuff, I was like, wow, because most lawyers now, you know, as we know, not all lawyers practice in the courtroom. Not, you know, they're all different types of lawyers.
Yes.
But just to go and do something law-related, but in the classroom, is not the norm, which I think is way cool.
Yeah, it's not, and it's funny. You know, whenever I'm in a room of attorneys, which I love, that's one of the things I miss most about practicing regularly is having those other relationships with attorneys. But whenever I'm in a room and I say, you know, we all go around and say what we do, and I say what I do, everybody says, oh, you know, because it's like, oh, that sounds fun. You know, it's like, you know, it's hard. Of course, any job is hard. Any job has things that you struggle with. You know, and I care about my students, and so it is hard when I see them struggling, and when I see them going through things. You know, similarly to the way that we feel about our clients, you know, in criminal defense.
Sure.
So there is some similarity to that, but day to day, you know, somebody's life isn't hanging in the balance on what their grade is, and you know, so that has definitely increased my day-to-day happiness.
Now you've been teaching full-time at IRSC for how long
now? For 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's my full-time.
Okay, so tell us about the classes you teach, and you know, what are the names? What is the? Now let's back up a minute. Let's talk first about, if you can, about the overall criminal justice curriculum, I guess, if you will, at the college, because hopefully the people that are watching and listening, you know, have an interest in maybe becoming a lawyer one day, or their child is thinking about it, and they're in school, and you know, what route do you take? What opportunities are there? What opportunities are there locally? Obviously, there's not a law school here yet, although, you know, at some point there probably will be. But so go ahead, give us an overview of the.
An overview.
Yeah.
We're very proud of our criminal justice department. We have both an associate's degree and a bachelor's degree. The associate's degree can be done completely online without buying any books. So we are completely based on open educational resources. So we are very proud of that. Book cost is really a barrier to a lot of students, you know, entering and completing college. And so our associate's degree is completely open educational resources, and we developed all of those courses in-house. And then our bachelor's program also can be done online. We are still working on getting the resources for those. It does take some time to get those done. But we have we have a mix of students who want to be in law enforcement, students who maybe want to work in the criminal justice system, maybe in the courthouse or in probation, you know, or one of those related fields, pretrial release services. Right. And then we also have some students who are interested in possibly going to law school. Right. And so we have a great mix.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, but so often I get the question, I'm sure you do too, what happens if, you know, I want to go to law school, I want to be a lawyer, and I have a bachelor's degree in business. Can I go to law school? And the answer is...
Of course. Yeah. And I tell students really, you know, any degree, right, will get you into law school if you've done well and you've done well on your tests. But I tell them if they really want to prepare themselves for law school, to just spend a lot of time reading and writing hard things. And so,
well, and let me stop you there. What major or minor would you suggest? You know, I was once I decided I wanted to go to law school, back in the day when the dinosaurs roamed, you know, everybody said, well, you need to be a political science major. And so that's what I did. But of course, you know, looking back, I'm thinking, what the heck would I have done
with a political
science major if I hadn't gone to law school? And I don't think it prepared me at all. I was a minor in philosophy. which I had to do a lot of writing.
Mm-hmm.
You had to think outside the box, those kinds of things. Now that prepared me.
Yes.
That helped me for law school, but political science,
Right.
not so much. So what do you?
Well, I think you're right. I had two degrees. One was in political science,
Right.
and one was in women's studies.
Right,
And
okay.
that's the one that really I was reading things that were hard to understand, and I had to work through it, and then I had to write about those things, and I think that really helped me for law school, just being
Right.
able to read things that were challenging. But the way that I think lots of degrees can help. I
Right.
guess is the bottom line, but. In our degree, we have two
Criminal justice you're talking about.
For
Okay.
criminal justice, we have two
Right.
areas of study. And students take classes from both areas. So I teach all of the legal classes. So constitutional law, criminal law, introduction to courts, American court systems, the legal aspects of policing, and juvenile in the law. I think that might be it. Criminal law, did I say criminal law?
I don't think you did. No.
So criminal law, I might be missing one, but all of the classes that are based on the legal system, the legal part of criminal justice, and
well, now you don't teach the police academy, do you?
well,
Part of
no,
it.
the academy
No?
is actually a separate.
Yeah, which I want to talk about
Yeah.
in a minute too. But
We have a great program that's called our Law Enforcement Academy track.
Right.
And so students join when they're fresh out of high school, most of them. They join this track program. They do physical training. They take classes with me and with our other faculty who teach more of the theory-based classes.
Right.
Which is that reading some things that might be a little challenging. And then they do that for a year and a half, and then they take the academy. They do the academy, which is a 6-month program.
Right.
And then when they graduate the academy, they're certified law enforcement and they have their associate's degree, which
Wow.
is amazing. It makes them very
Right.
competitive. Normally, just standard, you don't have to have any degree to get into the law enforcement academy. You just have to be 19.
Right.
And so there are some students who join.
But you have to have gone through the law academy, the police academy, before you can apply for a job with any law enforcement
Yes,
agency,
exactly.
right?
Yes, you have to have
Okay.
graduated from a police academy.
Right.
And there's a few around the state.
Oh, there aren't that many?
Well, I actually, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
I know that ours is the best.
Of
So
course.
yeah.
I used to teach at the police academy,
right,
so
yeah.
of course it is.
Yes. Well, I mean, we do. We have a lot of attorneys who come and teach. We have judges
Right.
who teach at the academy.
Right.
We also have adjuncts in our department who are judges, attorneys. We have a federal public defender right now. We have a judge. So we have that legal experience, for them in the classroom as well.
That are actually teaching as professors or
They're
guest
adjunct.
speakers? Oh,
Adjunct
wow.
professors. Yeah. So they have one class, and they're responsible for that class from the beginning to the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yes, it's
Okay.
the instructors, the adjunct instructors that we have
Hands-on experience.
yeah, and they go
Wow.
to their job all day, and they judge
These are night
things,
classes,
or they,
yeah, right.
Yeah, but they think it's just so much fun. It's energizing for them to see the students, and it really is to talk with the students and engage with them and about these legal concepts that we care so much about.
Right, right.
That's one of the best parts of my job is I just get to think about the law and the intricacies of it. And every class there's a student says something, and I hadn't thought of it that way. And I've been doing this for 5 years.
Right,
So,
right.
It's new, fun ways to think about a topic that we really love.
Right. Well, it's funny. I taught the police academy, and I also had a couple classes as an adjunct professor when I was a prosecutor. And I know what you're talking about. I mean, it's like when I do have, luckily we've got very low turnover in our office. We're very blessed that way. But when someone leaves and I have to interview, for the position, there's something about that young eagerness, eye of the tiger.
Yep.
Everything's so exciting,
Yes.
that really does, does energize you, if you will, So I know
Yes.
I know why you're loving this. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's really fun to be, the track is a cohort program, so
Right.
you really get to know them. A lot of students in our department, they're not forced to be there.
Right.
It's not a requirement like a math class or something like that. So they really they want to take this class. They're excited
Right.
about learning the stuff. And so I'm also very lucky in that way. I can't say it enough. I'm just, we love our department, and we, just have a really good time there.
So if someone, let's go back to the original question that we were having too much fun. If someone wants to go to law school, they may end up in being a criminal defense lawyer or a prosecutor, whatever. But is that necessarily the criminal justice track? Is that what other tracks would you recommend if you want to go to law school?
Well, we do have a paralegal department.
Okay.
That's an associate's degree.
Right.
So maybe if you wanted to do that, there's legal writing in there. I think that would have been so helpful to take before.
Oh, yes.
To have a little bit of
Yes.
practice with that. But maybe history or English. I think English probably would be a good one, because you really have to hone your writing skills.
Right. Right.
And then, doing the reading. But, in our degree, too, in my classes that I teach, we read the statutes, we go over the law. We talk a lot about facts and elements and how do we match those, and about the court system, both civil and criminal.
Right, right.
So just having that exposure, so it's not the first time you're hearing these things when
Right.
you're in law school, I think any of that would be very helpful.
Well, the criminal justice track, I'm curious, what is the average age of the student?
So for the Law Enforcement Academy track,
Right.
it's about 18, 19.
Wow.
So fresh out of high school.
Yeah.
We have a few students who have had some experience, and maybe they're coming back and they see the benefit. And we have a lot of students who, instead of going into the academy, decide, well, I'm going to stay and get my bachelor's degree. And
Okay,
then
and that's something, I don't know if we made it clear, or I asked you. If I did, I apologize. But if you want to be, I'm just trying to give people an idea of what to do if you want to be a lawyer, or students, if you want to be law enforcement, if you want to be a paralegal, whatever. You don't have to have an associate's or a bachelor's degree to be you just have to have graduated from the academy, is that correct?
Yes.
Wow.
So the
Okay.
academy is a separate 6-month program that you can apply for. It's housed on our campus,
Right.
But it is technically a separate department and separate from our criminal justice degree programs.
Okay. So you can do that separate.
You
don't.
can.
Obviously, you would be more marketable if you had an
Yes.
associate's degree or bachelor's
And
degree.
you know, it's very competitive. That was something that was surprising to me. We have 3 or 4 classes, and I'm don't quote me on that go through in a year.
Right.
And 20, 25 students graduate and they are trying to find jobs.
Right.
So it's, and then the ex-military, they have a little bit of a benefit, because they have that experience.
Right,
And so
right.
that's going to make them more competitive. So yeah, whatever you can do to set yourself apart after you graduate from the academy.
Will make you more.
Yeah.
Obviously. Okay, so let's talk for a moment about some of the cool things you're doing with your students, because I think you have, Kate, really, made some unique decisions and made some great opportunities for your students. For example, you have an internship with our office. Talk
Yes.
about that for a moment.
That was something that I wanted to do, pretty much right away when I started.
Right.
I wanted to be able to get the students some experience. A lot of our students are working, but they're working at jobs that are maybe not related to the field.
Right.
And they don't necessarily have time to go and volunteer because of life obligations. And so I thought, how can I get them a little bit of experience that they can put on their resume, get them in touch to see, what the court system is like
Right.
for themselves. And then I also
Well, because as I tell students that I interview, or applicants that I interview, you don't know until you've touched it and felt it. I mean, you can see it on TV all day long, but unless you've sat in a courtroom and really seen what happens, you really don't know what you're doing. And especially, well, in criminal, I mean, it's you're talking about, have you ever been inside a jail? Have you ever, I mean, if don't tell me you've always wanted to be a public defender when you've never seen the inside of a jail. You've never talked to somebody who's not appreciative or, guilty.
Yes. It is interesting to hear, especially when they first start and when they come back and they, we talk about some of their observations.
Right.
Some of the things that they pick up on, it's just interesting that they, one time it was, everybody's on their phone. I didn't think everybody would be on their phone. Everybody's got their phone out, and it's like everybody's trying to do business and talk to clients and like text the state attorney and, do these things while they're in court. And so that's one thing that, students are really surprised about.
But anyway, I interrupted you. So you wanted to have them have hands-on. So.
Well, and the other part too is that, a lot of our, and it definitely, has been getting better, but a lot of our instructors are law enforcement, prosecutors, and so I was really the first one that had this defense background, and that's one of the reasons why Professor Dewey, I think, wanted me as well, because I had that different perspective,
different slant,
and so I really was thinking, how can I get them, a little bit of empathy? I wanted them to have that empathy for the defense perspective,
that
for the defendant.
Right.
What's it like to be accused of a crime and then have to go through that, that process? And it doesn't mean necessarily that we're excusing the action, but I wanted them to feel a little bit what it was like to be in that position.
Right.
And then maybe if they go out and are law enforcement one day, they'll, they can think back on that experience. So that's why I reached out to you and your office, and you guys have been so gracious and just have welcomed us every semester and worked with us and gone through the the hoops and the hurdles of getting this program going and underway.
Which is a big, it's...
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not patting us on the back, I'm patting you on the back. I mean, to have come up with that, and it's kind of they're hooked up with a lawyer, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And
yes, and this has just this has just been so great to have them one-on-one with an attorney. They really get to know the attorneys.
Right.
I have some who just love having that relationship, and that really has done something, changed their trajectory. I had a student one time who came in and said, I didn't know what I was going to do when I graduated, and she was graduating that semester. So I didn't know what I was going to do, and now I know I have to do something with mental health court. I have to be involved in mental health court. This has changed my life, and I see now that's where I want to be.
Right.
And so hearing things like that, it is those personal relationships that creates that change in them. So
well, and when they really see what happens in mental health court, drug court, whatever, and the clients, and I always and I say this to the public as we're speaking now, the diversion courts, which include mental health court, drug court, and veterans court, are open to the public, and people can come and watch and see what happens at a graduation, and see how, oh my God, exhilarating it is, So it's and I could see where a student who didn't know what they wanted to do would get hooked on something like that and say, oh my God, I can change the world. Right. So what else are you doing unique in your classrooms?
Well, we have started in so this internship is in my bachelor's American Courts class.
Right.
So these students have had a lot of experience in the program. Some of them may know more, about the ins and outs of the criminal justice system at this point. So I wanted to do something in our Introduction to Courts class, which is the associate's level class, the
Right.
introduction to the higher level course. And so we are starting a partnership with Florida Rural Legal Services.
Oh, great. So
And-
you get a little bit of, okay.
Right, yep. And so that program is the Veterans Clinic. And so the clinic is housed on our campus. Veterans from the college, from the public, are invited to come and meet with an attorney. And then our students do the intake, so have that conversation with them. And then if the veteran agrees and approves, the student will go in and sit with the attorney to hear how the attorney listens to the facts and pieces out some of the issues and has those conversations with the veteran.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No, veterans who need what?
Well, it could be anything. Family law issues, benefits issues.
Oh, okay.
It could be a criminal issue, any sort of legal issue. And sometimes you're not even really sure what your issue is, right? I just know
right.
I have this problem. And so you can have that conversation with the attorney.
So so I've got it right. Florida Rural Legal Services obviously got some funding to carve out help for veterans specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So if you qualify and you're an actual veteran, you can get legal help from Florida Rural Legal Services, but have your folks as an internship helping
And
with
learning.
that and learning.
And
okay.
the great thing about this program too is that because it's the veterans program, there are no salary limitations or income limitations.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Yeah. So
like there are, and why don't you explain, and we're almost out of time, I can't believe it, but Florida Rural Legal Services, I always say equate it to the civil public
Civil
defender.
public defender,
Yeah,
right? That's what I would say.
But give us a little more. What is Florida Rural Legal Services, Kate?
So it's an agency that provides legal assistance to people who qualify, income-based.
Unless you're a veteran.
Unless you're a veteran,
Okay,
right?
okay.
And they can receive help with their civil law issues. So again, family law contract, estate issues.
Landlord tenant.
Landlord tenant.
There's a lot, I
yes,
know.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
Wow. And
Injunctions is another one that's important too, I think.
Right.
So having those civil injunctions, getting those in place.
So your students sit with the Florida Rural Legal lawyer, like they do with in our office, and actually see how they handling their case.
Having
or
that
whatever.
conversation,
Right.
right? Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's been a great. I'm very excited about that program getting started, and we're in the infancy of that. But in addition to the service learning in the classroom, we also have I have two student organizations. So the Pre-Law Pioneers, and that's an organization for students who are interested in going to law school from any discipline. So
Great.
criminal justice, paralegal, public administration. And then we also have the Criminal Justice Club, and that's where we invite in speakers who are just discuss their criminal justice experience, their positions. We sometimes do fundraising, fun things.
And we've got like 5 seconds.
Okay.
You're started the Florida Women.
The St.
Lawyer-
Lucie County chapter of the Florida Association of Women Lawyers. Yes.
Okay. Well,
That's how I
Kate,
get my lawyer fix. Right.
great. Well, thank you so much, and we'll have to have you back again.
Yes. Thank you so much.